Sandra Brown, who is a researcher, did a study that showed, I think in 2019, that actually women who are targeted by narcissists and who get in and stay in relationships with narcissists tend to have elevated personality traits. So there's something called the five-factor personality test, and it measures how you are in these five areas. And two of them are agreeableness and conscientiousness. And these are amazing qualities. They're actually the qualities that you want to have if you want to have healthy relationships. The problem is that they are used against you when you get into a relationship with a narcissist. And that's because obviously agreeableness means that you will often sacrifice your own well-being for the good of everybody. You want everybody to benefit. So you're quite happy to kind of let things go a little bit, or peace is really important to you. You're not the one who's going to shout your opinions from the rooftop in case they offend someone, that type of thing. And then conscientiousness is really just being a hard worker and really sticking to something and trying to make it work. It's like, I really want this to work. I'm going to use all the resources I can find. Can use all the tools at my disposal, and I can make this happen. And this is how people reach goals. This is how people do very well at school. This is how people complete projects. This is why people in high conscientiousness are very much desired by employers. And so you have these two traits that are really wonderful and can make you very successful in all areas of your life, unless you get stuck in a relationship with a narcissist and they will use it against you. So obviously, the agreeableness, you're going to put aside your wants and needs in order to try and get along. But what you don't realize is that this person has something wrong in their brain. It's a personality disorder, and they don't want things to go well for you. They they want a reaction out of you. Will constantly stir the pot. They don't want peace. They hate everybody. They hate everything. They're constantly unhappy. So all these things, your agreeableness can never overcome. And then the other one, the conscientiousness, that's where you are doing everything you can. You're reading the books, you're joining the groups, you're talking to a therapist, you're doing all these things to try to overcome the barriers that the narcissist is putting in front of you, or putting in front of the relationship, so that it can't work, that it can never work. But you think you can, because you know how to make things work. If you just find the right tool or strategy or mindset or whatever it is, you can make it happen because you have in other areas of your life to great success. And that the qualities that did make you a target for a narcissist are actually wonderful qualities that you do not want to change. You just don't want to use them with someone who's going to take advantage of them and use them against you. And a lot of the reason they target you is because you have what they want, what they don't have, what they're missing, and what they use to fill themselves up because they can't do that themselves. That's part of their problem. To elevate their status because they're very status oriented. So if you're good looking, if you're successful, whatever it is that they want to kind of ride on your coattails. Narcissists aren't seeking out weak people. They're looking for people that have things that they don't have. And that's what motivates them at the beginning. But then, because of their brain, which is frankly broken, and maybe that's not a nice way to say it, but it's the only way I can say it, it's a coping mechanism developed for whatever reason. It could be childhood trauma. I've heard now them saying it could be actually over coddling. So they're believing the hype that their parents gave them, or they just got too much attention or whatever. But something happened, Other people say they might have been born with it. There's many different theories, but the fact is that there's something wrong with their brain, and the way they cope is that they hitch their wagon to someone that seems really appealing, that can motivate them because they need external motivation and validation to keep going. They can't really get anything done without that. And so they do whatever it takes to get you. And how they do that is they not only do they love bomb you, which is, displays of affection, flowers every week, big gifts before you've really known each other very long. Everything is very fast paced. They might say, I love you really early. So they fast pace everything, and they do things like mirroring you. And this is a big one. This is the one that makes you think that this is your soulmate. This is someone who really understands and values me, because this is someone that is uh, perfect for me. Because what they're doing is they're mirroring back to you everything they see in you, everything that you tell them about you. They pretend to be that person. So if you like going out to eat at certain places, they like doing that too. If you certain values that you espouse, they'll say that they have those same values when in fact they don't. And in fact, they're quite empty inside. So a value system isn't really even a thing for them, I wouldn't think, except their value is getting what they want in a very infantile way, like now, and by any means necessary. And so they do this, they present this persona of someone who is not who they are at all. And they do it to hook you in, and they hook you in and fast pace everything to get to a living together or a baby or a marriage or a situation that's very hard to get out of, where you've made a big commitment, because they know this is the game. They know that you won't leave if they do. And they often are very smart about knowing that if we move in together, she can't kick me out legally. I've established residency now. And they're often what we call parasitic. So it means that they don't really have a place to live. So they kind of go from person to person. They move in with you. They take advantage of your resources, but not always, because in the love bombing phase, they can be very generous. So you might find they're paying for everything. They're giving you gifts. They might even pay your rent, things like that. But as you get more committed, they become more comfortable with knowing that they've got you now, so they can let that mask down. That mask is getting heavy. And so they want to put it down. And so when they finally got you, that's when they can put it down. And that's when uh, Mr. Hyde comes out. So Dr. Jekyll is a nice one. Mr. Hyde comes out at night in the story. And that's literally what happens. You start to see a different person. And it might start slowly or it might just go really quickly, but they begin to devalue you, and they withdraw affection, perhaps. They stop giving you the gifts instead of being generous. Now they're controlling your finances. They're reducing how much you're allowed to spend. They want to control every aspect of your life. They're getting very jealous if you go out with friends or family. They accuse you of cheating. It becomes your agreeableness comes out, and you decide it's easier for me just not to go out because it's so upsetting to him. So you start to lose your connections. You become very isolated, and you are in this trying to get back to. And I compare it to, I used to be a drinker. I was alcoholic way back in the day. In 2010, it was the last time I drank anything. But when I was in my active addiction, I was always trying to get back to that first good feeling I had when I'd get drunk, which was no longer. I never felt good anymore when I got drunk. I just felt bad. But I was always trying to get back to how I felt that first time. And that's what you're doing when you're inside this relationship after that person has turned and shown you their true self, which is trying to get a reaction out of you, triangulating you with other people. Uh, Gaslighting is the huge one. You won't know what's up and what's down, what's real and what's not. And they might either do this through circular conversations. You might find that no matter what you do, you can never resolve an issue with this person. Or they might do it more literally, like hiding things that you put this thing here, but he puts it somewhere else. And you're like, where is that thing? And then all of a sudden it shows up again. This stuff designed to drive you a little bit crazy, make you doubt yourself, and so you're more easily controllable. And these are the things that happen in a narcissistic relationship. And then eventually they have, after this happens, you are trying to get back to where you were before. At the beginning, where is that wonderful man who thought I was the world? He must be in there because, it must be me. I'm doing something wrong. He's lost the feeling for me because I'm not being the person I was, even though you haven't really changed. And you just want to get back to where he was so sweet and affectionate and where he had so much love for you and all of that stuff. You don't realize those days are over. And he does another thing called breadcrumbing, which is where he'll give you little pieces of attention. He'll scatter little glimpses of the old him here and there, like after you've had one of those big circular arguments and you're crying and you're exhausted because you can't do it anymore and you don't know how to please him, he will come and give you a hug. And you'll be so grateful for just that little hug because, oh, it's like that addiction, all I want is that feeling again. And he knows how to do that. And that is part of the game too. So you have become a game to him. He's a predator. You're the prey. He's like a cat who plays with a mouse, and he's actually getting something out of it. I don't know if it's joy, but it is something that in their minds they need. It's called supply. You might have heard that. It keeps them going. So, after this, if you stay, and generally the reason that you stay is not because you're weak or empathic, it's because you have established a trauma bond. So you are now bonded to this person because of all the things they did in the beginning, because you've made this commitment to them, because you've had sex with them, which is probably the best you've ever had, because they know how to use that as well. And you're stuck in. And add to that your traits of resourcefulness, the high conscientiousness, you'll do whatever it takes to make it work. I can make it happen. Uh, you're dug in now. And so a lot of the time you don't break up with them. Sometimes you do, and that comes with certain consequences. But often he will discard you, and that's what they call the final phase, but it isn't really the final phase because there's more to come. But the discard is when just what it sounds like. He's done with you. And he loves to get the maximum uh, cruelty and harm that he can inflict on you when he does this. So he does it in the most cruel way possible. And this is also part of the game. So he will immediately move on to someone else, perhaps, and then publicize that everywhere that you look. So you know that he is very quickly, maybe the next week, moved on to someone else who's everything you couldn't be, which is totally untrue. This poor woman is now going to go through the same thing that you did. And uh, he might just cut you off, he'll say, I'm just done with you, but whatever way has the maximum harm to you is what he's after, really. They love nothing more than to take a strong, successful woman and destroy her. And so if, like me, you were the one to discard the person, then, and I can say that's only because I had already done a lot of work at the time. I had already done my healing work. And so I, very soon after Mr. Hyde came out, I said, no, enough is enough. But what you deal with if you do the discard is that he will not leave you alone. So what happens often is love bombing part two, which is called hoovering. And I've got an article on hoovering at my blog if you want to look. But it is where he's come back around. Hoover's the vacuum in UK. That's what they call the Hoover. They don't say vacuum, they say Hoover. So it's the UK version of a vacuum. And it sucks you back in. That's what it does. And so he does it in a way that if you don't know that this is part of the game, there is absolutely no reason, healthy or not, why you wouldn't fall for it. If I didn't know, I would absolutely have taken this person back and felt no shame about it because there is no way they are so believable when they do this hoovering. First of all, they can use things like, I can't live without you. I'm going to die without you. I'll do anything to get you back. They'll start sending the flowers again that they used to send. They'll sending you gifts. They will write beautiful emails to you. They will call you constantly, and they will promise you all the things that they didn't give you when you were together. They will show deep remorse that they don't actually feel. It's all a game to get you back where they want you, under their control. They need that supply and that external source to motivate them. It's totally understandable why somebody would go back to someone like this. And the fact that people feel ashamed of that is wrong. It's absolutely, if you have a forgiving bone in your body, you are going to take back someone who shows huge remorse, who says all the ways they're going to amend things, who says they're going to do the things they didn't do, and they're not only saying it, they're often doing it. They are sending flowers, they are giving gifts, they are giving money, all these things. So you're not stupid at all to fall for this. It's a calculated campaign designed by a master manipulator who has spent his life. This is his life's work. So if you fall for it, you're not a dupe. You're not weak. You are human. And it's natural to give someone a second chance. But I didn't, thankfully, because I knew, only because I had taken psychology, only because I knew the signs and symptoms. Really, that's the only way. If you're not educated in these things, you don't have a chance. I got to tell you. And that's another reason why I want to take away that shame, that stigma, that idea that you're attracting this when you're actually targeted for it by someone who is an absolute master at what he is doing. And if you resist it, that would be surprising. That is the thing that shows you must know something that most people don't know, because it is just so designed to get you back. And I can see why they are successful at it. And then when they get you back, which they often do, the whole thing starts all over again. You're going to be in that honeymoon phase for a short time. As soon as he feels like he's really got you where he wants you, trauma bond is reestablished. You're not going anywhere. Mr. Hyde comes out again and you're right back. And it's often worse. I don't know from experience, but people say it's worse because now they resent you for how you made them chase you again. And also they disrespect you for allowing them back in, and they're going to make you pay for how hard they had to work to get you back. So all of those things are going on in a narcissistic relationship that I'm going to guess are not on in a toxic, just generally toxic relationship. There's a calculation, there's a true personality disorder going on here. There is a real emptiness inside where this person cannot motivate themselves at all without something external to focus on. And that's you, unfortunately. I would just pay attention to those things. I wanted to empower you a little bit with that. So last thing I want to say, if you have been discarded or if you have discarded them, no contact is really the only way to go. Block, block, block on every, and they'll keep popping up. They'll make new accounts, they'll get a new phone number, block, block, block. But if for your safety, you feel like you want to keep tabs on them, that's your personal choice because they do say, because it's true that when you leave, that is the most dangerous time in a relationship. And so you want to be, when you decide to leave, if you've, finally got the resources, you stop looking the resources to try and keep the relationship. Now you're finding the resources to leave. Don't let this person know your plan. Keep that plan to yourself. Make your plans, whether they're financial, logistical, whatever you need to do secretly to set yourself up to leave. Act like everything is normal. And then when you are ready to make that move, you've got your support, you've got your place to stay, you've got the money you need for whatever amount of time, then you can make your move. Don't tell this person that you're leaving them when you're alone with them. Just have your plan in place before you make the move and don't tell him, don't owe him anything. And even though you are owed a lot, you're not going to get it from him. You have to let it go. It's like sunk cost in business. You have sunk this cost. You're not going to get it back. You got to cut your losses. You got to cut and run now. It's time to stop investing and start investing in yourself. So that is my advice. That is, I hope, somewhat empowering to you. And thank you for listening.